Welcome to I Know What I Know. I'm your host, Josh Zabek, and I brought in a special guest with me. This is my first episode that I'm shooting, by the way. We'll get into the episode later and what we do and all of that, but I'm just excited to just get on with the show and get this thing started. Mr. Kevin Lockwood.
Thanks for having me, sir.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited to be the consistent regular.
I would hope you would be.
on
Maybe
this-
we'll get
this
you moved up here
wonderful-
one time, or we'll just move to an island and just do podcasts the rest of our life. Kind of
Can we
fun.
do it? Can we start tomorrow? Oh no, we're starting right now. That's
We can
great.
start tomorrow. We can start now. We can get this started now so we can get people starting to watch our show, which, by the way, if you ever want to like and comment, hit us below in the comment section. We'd love to hear what people are into, interested in, and anything that they'd like to talk about along the lines of what we're going to talk about, which is salespeople.
Absolutely.
Me and Kevin both are from the home improvement industry. Are you going to be Howard Stern the whole time?
I think so. Okay. We keep
All right, Howard.
I'll take it.
Let them see into your soul, man.
It's a good one.
We originated from a contracting company. Maybe I should just let you tell it.
Josh was 17 years old.
Don't blame this on me.
I was 19 years old.
It's like getting to be my fault already. It's okay. I can take it.
It definitely is the best fault that one could make.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
we'll see.
trained in the sales world, trained for the blood on the walls sales guy, trained for that. Go in and get your money no matter what, pretty much, and kind of brainwashed in a sense of what to sell,
Yeah.
what not to sell, what to talk about, what not to talk about, and that was it. That was the majority of what we did.
Both of us were brainwashed, though. It's down the line, right?
Sure, absolutely.
My father wrote a book on sales, 10 Steps to High Definition Selling. We always called it the low pressure sales system, but let's call it what it is. It's a pressure system.
Sure.
Low pressure so you don't have people feel like they're being pressured, which is kind of funny because, people who don't know how sales is, a lot of people don't work sales jobs. Sales jobs are kind of crazy if you think about it.
They are.
I am not a gambler. I've never been a gambler because every day I would gamble. Every day I would gamble as a 1099 self-employed salesman. In the home improvement world, you are only going to make money if you sell jobs. There's no commission out here. And I think a little bit of today's episode is going to be to educate you guys, the people watching this. So hopefully if you can't take anything from this, forget about the stories, forget about everything, just educate yourself so you can make the right decision when it comes time and you have a sales guy in your house and you fall in love with that sales guy, not romantically, but with what they're saying. They're serpents.
Their transfer of feeling is so aggressive that you get mesmerized from it. And
What's
you
a transfer of feeling?
That's it.
What is it, though?
Making you feel. If I can make you feel how I feel, you'll buy from me every time.
So the sales process first starts with the indoctrination of the salesperson,
Sure.
right? You got to take somebody and you have to make them believe that what you're selling is a good product.
Absolutely.
And you should be selling it because otherwise you'd be a terrible salesperson.
Sure.
What we sold specifically was replacement windows. And I wish more people would talk about this, but everybody follows the path and stays in the system that they're in because they make a lot of money. And it's easy to make a lot of money with that. It's easy to go on the old psychology of sales books. I mean, sales has been around forever, since the start of ages, right?
It's the oldest profession.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
besides prostitution, I don't know which came first, the
the
sales guy or
of
the woman.
prostitute had to come first, so it's definitely the sales end of
That's
things.
true, actually. Got to sell the woman first. Or man, I'm not prejudging. You can do whatever you want. I don't know if it was just woman prostitution back then, but
I think it was a little bit of everything, but that's what's so key. And that's what's so nice about being able to have this podcast and be able to really transfer the feeling of the fact that don't be a statistic. Don't be another person out there that buys off of a good smile or good words.
yeah.
Buy off of the logical aspect of your dollar bill, what you need, what you want, need, and deserve. That's what's most important. And, investing in your home, but investing in your mind as well, because the last thing you want to do is hate salesmen forever and then you actually need something.
Yeah, and I'm not to say all salespeople are bad. I'm
Sure.
just saying maybe 70% of the salesmen aren't bad, but are malaligned, right? When we were selling, we didn't know we were bloodthirsty. We didn't really believe that we were ripping people off because people only know what they know.
Sure.
So that's why I said it starts with the indoctrination of the salesperson and them to take on your philosophy of sales, the belief in your product system, the belief in your pricing. And the funniest thing in the world is all these sales reps I train, they didn't own homes. So it's how can you be a believer, including myself?
Sure.
How can you be a believer in your product and you don't even own a home to put the product on?
Just goes to show you how easy it is to be convinced about something.
That's true.
And that is
Because
across the board.
it starts with lying to yourself
It does.
to be able to lie to others. And you don't know that you're lying because, again, when you're indoctrinated, look, we can go down, a rabbit hole of indoctrination through government systems, and
It's never ending.
it's never ending. But that's just life. There's always somebody there to get you. And I hate to say that, but it's easy to get people when they're not educated themselves. We used to always have a saying, a smart buyer is an educated buyer. Well, when we educate them, yeah, they're a smart buyer because they end up buying from us. And we end up transferring our feelings and they end up believing everything that we're saying, and they buy from us.
Sure.
So, of course, that's my best customer. Not truly educated, though. Truly educated would be understanding how much the material costs, understanding how much. And the funny thing, in hindsight, I look back at some of the customers that would ask me questions like, well, can you break down the material and labor? I'm like, no, what's it matter? You either buy the product or you don't. Breaking down doesn't do anything.
Sure.
But that was actually the smart consumer because they probably didn't end up buying from me because they wanted to see how much you're charging for labor. And you can lie. That's made up. That's irrelevant. Because what you're not going to tell them is what you're taking for profit.
Sure.
Starting with what I know, the replacement window industry, when you're selling windows and the national average price of a window is $1,537 per remodeling magazine.
Got cheap.
Got cheap, right?
Got cheap.
You used to have Window World pitching $189 windows. That was cheap, but then they'd finagle you into spending $600-700 a window. And nowadays, they're over $1,000 a window, and that was the cheap solution.
And that's the typical bait and switch that they used to do. So, you
Yeah.
have that. And then, you wanted screens. You wanted locks. You wanted the install. You wanted caulk. You wanted the capping.
It's a way to
all of
get
those things.
into your house.
Sure.
What I'm getting at, though, is the cost of windows now are higher than they've ever been. They're higher than they ever been for a multitude of reasons. One of the main things was COVID. COVID hit, prices, manufacturers started raising their prices. When you raise your prices, you raise your profit margins.
Sure.
How many companies do you know that reduced their profit margins? Not many.
Like to find. Yeah. On the consistency, not around at all.
Right, because they're in this to be a business.
Sure.
So post-COVID pricing was during COVID pricing, which were post. So it shouldn't be as high as it was. That was because of the lack of workforce and all. There's a million reasons. But again, the point is they never reduced their pricing.
Right.
So let's say you used to be able to buy a window because we ran a company. It was a 10,000 window a year company. It's pretty big.
Absolutely.
We used to buy windows for $170 a piece. Buy windows for $170 a piece.
160.
160. Because if they told us anywhere near 200, we'd tell them kick rocks.
Right.
We'd never spend that much on a window.
Especially when you're doing that many windows a year.
10,000.
Sure.
It's a multi-million-dollar business.
Absolutely.
So at that point, you're looking at 180 a window. An installer gets paid $100 to pop it in, which might seem like a low price for the installer, but those installers are driving Mercedes Sprinter vans because they can afford to drive them.
Absolutely.
Because they're getting paid $100 a window. What's in their actual installation process? A tube of caulk, a couple screws that come with the windows.
A shimmer too.
So what are they netting? $90 a window?
Absolutely.
And they're going, and on average house has 25 windows. So they're making $2,700 every house they go to, and that's a day job for them. Even if they made $2,000, they're making $10,000 a week. Window installers, just the window installers.
Just the installer.
You're not talking about the heads of these companies. I know the owners of window companies, several of them, and they have several houses.
Sure.
I know somebody that has a jet. I know somebody with a net worth of over $50 million. And this was all from replacement windows.
From the brainwash game.
From the brainwash. From
Absolutely.
the sales guy. From the foot soldiers, whatever you want to call
And don't
it.
get me wrong. I mean, windows are needed. They absolutely are. But it's the value in what you're doing and what you're replacing and what you're putting into your home. Are you going to get that ROI? Are you going to get that take back? Or is the get back?
What's an ROI, Kevin?
Return on investment.
Wait.
It's like,
So you're telling me if I spend $40,000 on 25 windows, I'm not going to get my money back?
no, sir.
Huh.
No, sir.
What were we trained to say in 2005?
If you replace all the windows in your home, you will save approximately 40% on your heating and cooling bills.
Sorry, guys. I didn't know.
I feel bad.
I do too.
I still do, but, and there's no but, I feel bad. So redefine the nature, redefine the industry, redefine what you sell, what you do. Because you're providing a service and it doesn't become a sell anymore. There's nothing to sell. It's the smart decision that you're going to make based off of he who knows the most, your knowledge. That's what we're here to do. We're here to educate. And it's a privilege to be able to educate someone on something where I don't want to shoot right to it, but if you could go on a better vacation, if you could put your children in better clothes, if you could eat better food, if you could, how about just keep the money in your pocket
Right.
and do what you need to do, that you really want to do, that you don't deserve to spend that big bag of loot on something that's really not going to offer a solution to your problem. And it's, finish it for me. I mean, it's just, it's overkill. Essentially,
And the sales
it
guy is always going to say, but you're going to save the money, but you want it. That's just because he has an opportunity to prey on you.
Sure. And then 0% interest on top of it makes it even easier
It's
when
like,
there's
hey,
no
you don't
such
even
thing.
got to spend your money. You're going to have a small payment. You're not wasted. You're still going to be able to take your vacation. Well, wait a second. If I'm paying $200 a month for my windows and I don't save my 40%, I'm spending $2,400 a year. I mean, there goes my vacation.
Absolutely.
Beyond that, it's like, do you want to retire early? How many people? I don't even want to really go down this rabbit hole.
I left this one to you because it's relevant, though. It is.
Yeah, it's just like, how many years of service did we keep federal employees in their system for? Because we sold them windows and they had to pay for those windows. And they had to work an extra year or two on their life, literally. And I say this, but people aren't. You're going to think, yeah, right. That's not. No, it's true. It's 100% true.
Absolutely.
People don't see the entire duration. And for you to offer 0%, my window's not 1537 because I got to pay as a contractor 20% the bank charges me to get that 0% interest. So that means the bank, who makes a huge check off a $30,000 deal, making $6,000 right off the top. Boom.
Absolutely.
That's
It's your 25, 20,
paying,
30%.
You're paying interest.
You're
whether
paying
you
no matter
realize
what.
it or what. Yeah, you're going to pay. It's on the front end. It's on the back end. And the windows are not going to pay for themselves. Now, there's sometimes you need windows. I'm not saying never replace your windows. I don't even want to go into what I do or company or anything like that. Just sticking with, which we will get to that one time, and I'm sure you can find out what we do. But I'm just talking to the salespeople.
Sure.
Or talking to the people that aren't salespeople that don't know what actually goes on behind closed doors. And I'm talking to the salespeople because if there's any sales guy out there right now and you're in the business of high pressure sales, low pressure, whatever you want to call it, and you're going into people's houses under the pretense of, I'm going to give you a free estimate. Guys, nothing's free. That salesman put his time. He's putting his time there, not for free, not out of the goodness of the heart, but because he wants to make a paycheck.
Absolutely.
Because he needs his commission check.
And who else's time is it?
And if he doesn't come to your house, he's going to knock on somebody else's door to get into theirs.
And if he does get in your house, it's your time that's being cooked. It's your frustrations. It's the kid's ready for bed because it's usually at night because both husband and wife need to be together.
To make a buying decision. And when you're thinking about the kids need to be to bed and I got to, make dinner and I got stuff to do tomorrow and this guy's still in my house, but you believe that you do need windows and the entire time you have been committed with a checklist, a mental checklist in a sales guy's mind. So you have no way out.
And if he reads
think
you the
you do.
proper way and he's hitting all those hot buttons, you get back to a corner where expensive becomes logic.
It's like easier to sign the contract. You're like, I know I need it. He's right. Rip off the Band-Aid. Let's just get it done.
Absolutely.
I got kids, whatever. They're tired. And they just break down, and it's breaking people down. So I guess what I'm saying, It's if you're not realizing you're doing that, because we didn't know we were doing that, really.
We did not.
I mean, be honest.
No, we did not. I did not. I woke up every day and I loved absolutely what I did. It was fun. I got to get in front of people.
Yeah.
I love new people, love meeting new people, being able to offer a solution to the problem. And I was good at what I did because I really thought I was doing that. Now we had a great product.
Yeah. We
had a
sold
great
top of the line
we had a
product.
great
We did have a good
installation.
system, but if
Beautiful, drop dead gorgeous.
you're
Now,
spending $1,500, so you should have a great system.
Absolutely.
You should have a
So-
good process. And I guess that's where I was getting at. With the $180 window, the $100 install, you're $280 in. Where's the rest of the money go? Even if you're $280 in, the salesman's going to make his 20%. So he's taking
20%.
$300 per window. Back to that 25 window job. That sales guy's walking out with $7,500 at a good company. He
Sure.
should. Not to say he should walk out with that much. This is something I got into on something else about capitalism. It's like good, it's bad, it's what you make of it.
Sure.
But if you don't know what you're doing to people, the guys at the top are making the money, because everything is a pyramid system.
Right.
Everything's a pyramid. It's
Absolutely.
like, don't call it a pyramid scheme. A business, you have employees, you have managers, you have district managers.
Keeps
you have
going
vice
on and on
president,
and on
then
and
at
on
the
and
top,
on.
you're going to have the president. And the president's making the lion's share of the money, as they call it.
Absolutely.
So even off that $1,500 window, you're $600 in. Company makes a little something to run the company. Throw $200 on it. You're $700 per window to the owner. No wonder these guys are multimillionaires.
Absolutely.
No wonder why these window companies that have been in business for 30, 40 years are there for a reason.
And it's so easy that everyone's doing it.
It is. I mean,
so
I think
vast. I mean,
from Maryland originally. I'm in Virginia. You're still in Maryland. The Maryland Home Improvement Commission, which, well, we can talk about that at one point, but everybody
Absolutely.
forgets about the Tin Man movie with Danny DeVito and showing how unscrupulous sales guys was. And this is in the 60s, late 60s, they were talking about it and set up the Maryland Home Improvement Commission. But still to this day, they don't regulate. They regulate laws to make sure you're not ripping, which I agree with that. You don't have straight
takes a
con artists.
complaint for them to find out about something, but how many people does it take to get that first complaint?
But just like that 40% fuel guarantee that all these companies were doing, wasn't until the Federal Trade Commission came down and really came down on them. And we had to eliminate that. And a lot of companies did push those 40% fuel guarantees, because if you read the fine print, it was like, we'll pay up to $500. Well, yeah, of course you'll pay up to $500. If you're making $700 a window, why wouldn't you pay $500
No problem.
total claim? Yeah, because nobody claims those at the end of the day. But what they're not looking at is devious pricing tactics. Them saying, oh, this deal's only good for today. If you sign here, we got you covered.
And there's so many tactful ways to go about
There
that.
is.
There's false discounts. There's manufacturer discount. There's financing discounts, which there's no such thing as a financing discount. I mean, at the end of the day, and
The bank's going to make their money.
it's whatever pitch they think about. And salesmen are very, very creative. That's the whole goal of what we are supposed to be. So
They are trained to be creative.
that's it. So
And while they're trained to be creative, you're just sitting there thinking you're getting a free estimate. And that's it.
when the whole time you're just trying to be reeled in, that's it.
That's it.
Another hot point, another button, another degree to get you to the point where you're boiling.
Yeah.
To where it's
And that's where it's like, you look at a sales guy and they're like, oh, but this sales guy was great. Like, he was super personable. Those are the dangerous ones.
those are the ones that
Know how to work it.
they do. They park their Mercedes down the street.
Yeah. And they
Those
walk up to the
things.
house so you don't have any preconceived notions of them. And their whole entire job is to lower your defense barriers.
Absolutely.
Lower your defense barriers so you're at a level that you can trust them, so that you can allow that sales rep to educate you. And we'd always have a saying like, you can educate yourself on Windows, but you can't go online and really figure out the information. It was part true.
Part
back,
true.
Back
Part
then, I
true.
say part true. You
Absolutely.
could dig down, but when you have so many companies with these budgets of 20% for marketing to spend, all of the initial websites that you're going to see online are typically ran by one window company or another.
Sure.
And it's baited to lead a consumer one direction or another.
Absolutely.
There's some rating agencies that are legitimate, like NFRC, National Fenestration Rating Council, or AMA, American Architectural Manufacturing Association, who do third-party testing of the window itself, but that tells you nothing about pricing.
Right. So you have to go through the long dissertation of finding out who has what. And then remember the customer that got 10 estimates?
Yeah. And then we'd buy the estimates off them. And then we'd show those estimates to other customers,
And then
the ones we wanted to show.
and they
of
bought
course,
them, and then they just ended up giving them to us, usually at the end of it.
because they had so much trust and credibility and rapport built with that sales guy. And they feel like they made the right decision, and they feel like, oh, I've gone through all of the right process. I've done my due diligence. But if you're comparing, it is what it is. If you're comparing one con artist to another, like,
Yeah.
what's the comparison here?
Right? It's all relative.
Doesn't make sense
It's
to
all
me.
funneling down to the same thing.
Unlike the tire industry, I think about windows and tires the same, right? Because of the industry I'm in, which, of
That's
course,
awesome. Yeah.
briefly, that's why I opened up the window hospital, because I did feel
forgot
bad.
about that.
And because I did want to give people what they wanted. When somebody has a foggy window, a broken window, a window that doesn't lift up and down, they don't want a long dissertation to have to spend $16,000 to replace, 10 windows.
Fix my window.
They just want the window fixed. Like, hey, just make it operate again. So start a business that focuses on glass repair, parts repair, screen repair. That's it. We're now growing the franchise, growing the concept, because there's so many sales guys out there that don't know what they're doing. Not that they don't know what they're doing, but don't know the negative impact of what they're doing. Don't know the negative impact of going into somebody's house and saying, hey, you got a broken glass, but nobody's going to do that for you, because that's what we were trained.
Exactly.
And I genuinely didn't know until I found out. And when I found out, that's when I kind of changed my personal direction.
Sure.
Some people know, and they still choose to do. Now, we can't help those people, really. You got to want to help yourself, right?
Absolutely.
And it's like the more people that would be willing to adapt and to change. And again, I'm talking to the sales guys out there that want to make a change, that don't want to do that, and that know they're doing something wrong. Call us up, reach out to us. We have something for everybody. We have something to put the window hospital at a location near you, to pair you up with a glass company, to pair you up with whomever. Whatever we have to do to right the wrong of us going out ripping people off, basically, I kind of want to do.
Don't want to feel that type of way.
I don't want to feel that way.
And
Right.
Not that we feel that type of way now, but it's nice to be able to be. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be. Is that a little too much? I don't think so.
No, to provide
nice
a valuable service. We used to literally make fun of people that were what we call order takers. See, again, sometimes there's a need for windows. Sometimes you do need to replace your windows. And there
They're
are
rotted,
good,
they're falling
Yeah.
out. You got to do what you got to do.
there's good contractors out there too.
Sure.
I'm not saying there's not good contractors, and there's fair contractors. But there's a lot of contractors out there who will set themselves up with, say, different religions and say they're this way when they know they're not, and they sell based off that. But then you also have guys on the flip side that are sole proprietors that do a great job, that install the work themselves, that stand behind the work that they do, that just try and make a fair living. They're not trying to get rich off one customer. They're trying to do a good job and just stay busy.
Absolutely.
Those are the good contractors, right? Not
They're
the
out
ones,
there.
Yeah, they are out there. Not saying you can't get any, but how many are out there? That's the question.
The percentages. There's not even a percentage.
Percentages are pretty bad. It's like putting your hand in a fishbowl and hoping that you pull the right one out
Absolutely.
when 90% of the deck is stacked against you.
Sure.
9 out of 10 times, you're probably going to make the wrong decision. Not the wrong decision, but not the best decision. And I think, again, if I can change anything, it would be to grow my business, to put everybody in a position so that they can get what they want, or at least have the option, and to educate people
It's most important.
they don't have to go through the processes that they're going through. That I had a lady the other day say, thank you. You're literally making me retire a year early. I'm like, what's the lady talking about? Like, no, I'm not. But I was. Because when I looked at the repair job, my repair job on all of her windows was like a couple thousand. It was like $2,500, fixing parts, glass, stuff like that.
Right.
She was quoted $30,000 for the front of her house for the windows.
It's not the whole house.
It's not the whole house. That's the front. It's a lot of money.
Sure.
And if you're at the end of your job and you know you're going to stay at that house, that's a valid concern for retirees. Like, do I have to fix this now? But you don't. You don't have to replace it. You can fix it. And that's where I was going with the cars. If you take a car, there's one person in this world that I know of, my dad. He would replace his car when his tires were bad. I don't know if he just thought he had to do that. It's the truth, though. If his tires went bad, he'd take the car in and trade it in. You can ask my mom.
Sure.
You can ask my mom. Y'all can't ask my mom. I mean, you can ask my mom if you find her, but that's what he did. So to have him do that when he could have just replaced the tires, and you'd rather buy a $50,000 car than spend $1,000 on tires, this makes no sense.
Right.
But yet every day we have a multi-billion-dollar industry where people are replacing their windows, which is like replacing their car, when they could replace the tires on their car, which would be the parts on the window. Tilt latches, the little pieces that tilt your windows in. I don't know if you guys have any problems with your windows. You lift them up and they fall in. It's like a $15 piece that needs replaced. You need to spend thousands of dollars for a $15 piece. I don't know if you have the windows you lift up, and they slam
Fall
down.
right back down.
It's like a $50 installed piece. You don't need to replace your windows for that. And then you have the ugly, unsightly windows that you just can't see out of, or the broken windows because your son threw a baseball through it, or the dad hit a hockey puck through it. Not that that would happen to anybody, right, Kevin?
First time for everything.
Insert picture of Kevin's broken window here.
It's the greatest thing ever.
It's
so relevant, and it's so awesome.
It is, because it happens and it's life. But again, that's parts on your window, just like tires are parts on your car. You're not going to replace your car because your tires need replaced. Why would you replace your windows when parts of your windows need to be replaced?
It's been designed to be fixed. That's it. Everything, for the most part.
I thought you were going to say, it's ingrained in us to be fixed, not fixed to be replaced.
It is. That's where it being ingrained in us to be replaced, it's nice to redefine the nature of what we do, of our association, when it comes to providing that service instead of replacing something that you just didn't know that you could fix it.
Yeah. And it's just giving them the option, them being the customers. But if customers don't know that that option exists because they're believing a high-pressure sales guy that's telling them all the facts.
Sure.
And they're being wooed by his personality and his presence. Again, if you don't take anything from this, when you're being wooed by the sales guy, that might be the time to back off a little bit. Might be the time to say, you know what? If you're really a good person, you're going to let me research on my own. Because guess what? I don't give prices that are good for a day. My price doesn't change daily. It's something that sales guys make up.
Absolutely.
And they'll have a good story behind it, and you'll believe in it, and you'll say, that makes perfect sense. Maybe another episode will go into some closing techniques to literally show people how you can walk through the emotional manipulation of their own mind. As a sales guy, my mom would be riding with my dad, and he'd tell her something about sales, and she'd be like, Michael, that's stupid. Nobody would believe that. And he's like, I don't understand why you don't think anybody would believe that. And he got her talking. And the whole purpose of a sales guy's question is to get you talking. And the more you talk, the more information you give, the more arrows they can put in their quiver so they can pull those arrows out when they're closing and shoot you with your own words. And she fell right into it. She didn't even know she was doing it. But when you practice it every day and you train it every day, we used to literally sit in rooms and practice different scenarios, role play, every single day. Not one customer, I can guarantee you, okay, I'm lying, I can't guarantee you. I would assume that not many customers are out there saying, let's go through our gameplay of how to say no to the sales guy. Because you're just not even thinking about making a decision. You're just thinking about getting a price. And then when it happens, you and your husband can't even be separated. You guys are just taken down a path of agreement.
Sure.
And put into the position where, again, it's easier to buy. And it makes sense to buy.
I've done it. What have been 20,000 homes? That's a lot of homes. It's a lot of people I've seen. Do I have 20,000 customers? Some people couldn't get financed. I'm just but the most important thing is being able to offer, like I said, that solution, being able to redefine the nature of how people buy by giving them that information and being able to feel good about it. I used to walk out of the house with a sale, cloud nine. I'd put on whatever motivating,
Please yeah, baby, baby. Please say
whatever
baby, baby.
motivating gangster rap song that I could bob my head down drive it down the road to, and just laugh and lick my chops. Well, you know what? It didn't suit me anymore to do that. It didn't make me feel better. I want to be able to once again offer that affordable solution and being able to redefine the way someone buys instead of the typical just keep smiling and smiling and joking and joking and joking and joking. Oh, you don't need to do these windows. Don't even do them. They're fine. Literally falling out. Oh, don't do it. Take that money, go on a vacation. So many little avenues to get somebody to calm down, to go, oh, that does make sense. When it does it
Right.
make the sense to do that? Well, at the time it does. But
What
what
the
does
time
it say?
it does because
When
we have
that
bills.
what is it? What wears off after the salesman leaves? What's it called? The ether.
Yep.
So we don't need ether. You don't need ether to buy. You just need the information. And Josh,
And if you need the ether or a sales guy has to put you under a trance for you to buy, it is probably too good to be true. It's back to that old adage.
it's every day.
I look at sales as needed again.
Sure.
You need some sales guys, but with that, you also need some heartfelt sales guys.
Absolutely.
But that's not what you get. And through this whole thing, reason I named it I Know What I Know, because I only know what I know.
Sure.
I don't read a lot of books. I meet a lot of people. You only learn by the books you read and the people you meet. And I've met a lot of people, like you said, 20,000 homes you've been into. I may have been into a couple more, like 20,001. Just looking at that.
You got like 2 years on it. So
The average time that we would spend in a house was what, 3 hours?
you were really good at what you did. So you were there for like 45 minutes to an hour. But yes,
Yeah,
I was
right.
the,
I was there for
I
like
was the
4
th- I
hours,
was
5 hours. That's how you break people down.
It was always a breakdown. It was.
Dan
You
C.
get so good.
You remember you?
Yeah,
He was
absolutely,
8 hours
absolutely.
in the house. I'll never forget. I was in the house for 12 hours with Sunny. 12
Yes, you were.
hours, and she canceled the next day, and we had to go back out and save it because the ether wore off because
And
it
you
took
saved it.
12 hours. We did. We had to reduce it, but
We're
yeah.
not reveling in the save. Just it was very easy.
And by save, we mean she called the office, hey, I don't want to do this job. And we said, we'll give you a better deal. And we went out there and gave her a better deal after working there
Sit
for
with her a
12
little
hours.
bit.
This is crazy. But where I was going with that is if you take 3 hours on a sales call, which is a successful sales call, if you're in a house for 3 hours, you're probably going to sell it because somebody let you in their house that long.
Sure.
While they have their kids and dinner and all of this. And they said, no, we'd rather talk to the sales guy because he's giving us good information. I mean, that has to be what goes through their mind. You wouldn't have somebody in your house for 3 hours if you were like, this guy's full of it. I'd be like, get this dude out. Like, dude, I got to go. Just get up and walk. But 3 hours, 20,000 people at 60,000 hours that you spent in a house talking to people, manipulating their mindset. Now, they say it's 10,000 hours to be a master. So you would be a master 6 times over of debating? You're
Yes.
a master debater. Sorry,
Yeah,
that's so
absolutely.
stupid, but
Absolutely.
it's true. And that's why I look at in psychologists. How many hours till you I don't know. Maybe if you know, hit us in the comments and let us know how many hours until you get your accreditation to become a psychologist, a trained therapist. All of these different things that require you to sit down and talk to people to learn human nature.
Sure.
I mean, that's what it is. It's a lot of experience, a lot of misapplied experience, and that's why we're trying to reapply it in a different way because it is good training. It is good for communication, like the basis of sales, because like we said, sales has been around forever. It's not going anywhere. Shouldn't go anywhere. You still need to transfer goods and stuff like that.
Sure.
but how things are sold.
Absolutely.
Just like when you had, there was a big car company and they started selling cars online. They're trying to change how cars are sold. Not saying they're the best right now, not saying they have but I'll give them credit for going out and literally trying to redefine an industry. This industry has yet to be redefined. This industry, I'm learning the same tactics and principles that my dad learned in 1970.
Right.
And applying them today, not now. But another message, if you're one of those home improvement companies that are the unscrupulous, that does have the sales guys that are going for blood, that is overcharging customers, coming for you.
Absolutely.
And I am, because it's right. Because I've been in companies, again, back to the religion thing. I have faith. I'm not defined as one religion or another.
Sure.
To each his own, right? But to drill that into everybody within the company's head and philosophy, when fundamentally, if somebody came back from the religious sector that he's talking about, they'd be like, what are you doing? Do unto others as you want done to you. Do you want this done to you?
The moral aspect
So
of it.
why are you
It's
doing
fantastic.
it? But you know what? When you got your own jet, it's kind of easy to forget about morals.
It is.
And it's sad. It's sad that I used to look up to those people. It's sad that I didn't know even who they were. And sometimes I became aware. Sometimes I'd hear side comments like them talking about people that work for them and how they keep them on a treadmill and how they keep the carrot dangled in front of them so they can keep running on that treadmill for them.
Sure.
When
With your
in
money.
actuality, they're the ones that need to be on the treadmill.
Absolutely. And that's with your dollar bill. It's all going to keep and fund the next and train the next and train the next. And it's a never ending cycle that the cycle needs to be disrupted.
And you're exactly right. It's a perpetual cycle that every time a customer spends, I never thought about that. Every time a customer spends money with the company, they're making sure that company stays in business.
Funding sales terrorism.
You are funding sales terrorism.
Please.
Call our hotline today to. That's pretty funny.
It's
But it is though.
It's
What
so
is terrorism?
True. It's so true.
They're a terror, right? They're terrorizing. They're terrorizing you when they're in your house. They're terrorizing you when they're soliciting for leads and blasting your neighborhood with canvassers door to door. I literally want to canvass in my community. I literally want to canvass with my company, but I don't want to approach people like that. And I know how to do it. I could set up an entire canvas team.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why I'm here right now, is in hopes that if people go and actually hear this, if we clip this the right way and something goes viral to make people understand that they're perpetuating the terrorism, the sales terrorism.
Sales terrorism. So
and again,
true.
I did allude to the fact that a lot of those big companies are 30 years old because they know how to make money. And then if you look at the reviews, they got terrible reviews, but they got a sales guy trained to be in your house to tell you why they have terrible reviews and justify. And you know what? People believe it.
Answer for everything.
People believe it at a rate of about 60%. Close rate was mine at the last high pressure sales company I was at.
I was like 2%.
You're at least 2% lower than me. You're like 58er.
It was 2% higher. But
I don't think so. You pitched a lot of stuff you probably shouldn't have pitched then. No, I don't know.
I did all the time. And that's once again.
And you would get yelled at for that.
And I would get yelled at for it.
why?
But did we ever give money back?
What? Who gives money back?
Exactly. Never gave the money back. And at the end of the day, it was just.
And I say it to you especially because you did get yelled at. You'd pitch what we call one-legger,
I would pitch the one-legger.
which is
That is a husband or a wife that is not home. That when they set the appointment, they said they both were going to be there. But I had driven. And I didn't work the best areas where I was in Maryland. Everybody else was in Baltimore. So
yeah, Baltimore's a lot better than the D.C. area, but anyway.
it was, I was in areas that everybody deserves to have a great product in their house.
Sure.
Everybody deserves to have and to be proud of something. Unfortunately, now you're really bad when you're convincing somebody of something that you know now. It's a word for that. I don't know they can't afford it, but I have a pretty good idea. And I just keep being nice and nice and nice and nice and nice.
Well, we were just hoping the banks would finance them.
And we would just finance. And I'm talking like standard. People were excited at 14%. People were excited at 16%. People didn't care they got approved at 24%.
They were just happy they got approved.
I didn't care either. Did you care?
No, I didn't care.
It was our job.
What do you mean? We got paid.
Somebody was going to do it.
Yeah.
Get the dollar bill.
They
I
were
didn't even
going
think
to
about
buy
this
from somebody else. And again, I didn't know that window repair even existed.
Right.
Genuinely. Really.
We were trained at.
If I
once
would have
again,
known what I knew now, I would have
do it.
started my company when I was probably 17 and would have been in every state by now.
Yes. 100.
Whatever. Can't go back in time, but moving forward, that's what we can change.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're going to change.
That's what we're doing right now. And it's a pleasure to do it. It
Yeah.
really is, man.
One person at a time. If one person watches this show, just leave us a comment and be like, I learned something. Because that's what's going to motivate me to move forward, to continue to give my time. I could take my time and grow my company,
Sure.
my one individual location. I feel like that's kind of greedy. That's literally everything that I'm talking about. Financially, I'm good. I'm not worried about money. I'm not rich. I don't need to be rich. I live the life I want to live. And me and my wife are fortunate that we don't have kids. So everybody's like, are they rich? And it's like, no, they just don't have kids. All that money you spend on kids, they just spend on themselves. But if I can push this off on people and get them to buy in, and again, if I can get anybody to change their ways, I think of my grandmother. I think of my mom by herself now. My dad's not around. She has to make decisions by herself. How would she act if a salesman that wanted to sit down and talk to her for 2-3 hours, how would she respond? She'd respond with love, and she would love to talk to somebody for 2 or 3 hours and sit there. But unfortunately, that wouldn't be in her best interest, because that's how people get played
Absolutely.
and suckered in. So again, if I can help anybody understand that though they're necessary sales guys, they're not your friends. They're not the friends they think you are or that you think they are. They're not going to come back to your house. They're not going to, continue to have cookouts with your family or bring you Christmas gifts. They're there to make a commission check.
That's it.
And if you think it's anything else, then you're only fooling yourself. And again, I started with this. You're always going to, if you lie to yourself, it's easy to lie to others. So you're lying to yourself that it's a good deal. So when your friend comes up to you and they're like, hey, do you know anybody I can buy windows from? You will be like, call this guy. And you're perpetuating that cycle. So yeah, that cycle does have to stop. We want to be what's known as an industry disruptor. We want to change the cycle. We want to break the trend. We want to have people not go out there ripping people off anymore. And at least if you're going to rip somebody off, give them a chance to get what they want first. In other words, I might even feel, it's so bad to say this, I don't know, but I think it's bad to say, like, if somebody chooses to get ripped off, I don't feel as bad about that
Sure.
as somebody who was presented and not presented that option. So at least if you're one of those home improvement companies, it's like, why are they talking about us bad right now? Like I said, 10% are good. Be the 10% that's good. Call us. Call me. About the window hospital.
Steer people in the proper direction.
Start
Once
a
again.
franchise. Start a repair business. I'll help you do it. I mean, that is my job now.
It is.
Because I'm not looking to grow this one location. I'm looking to grow it everywhere
Sure.
so that everybody has access to repairs. So that those good companies that are good window sales companies can go out and present the repair option and present the replacement option and let the customer decide if they want to replace their car or their tires. If they want to spend $30,000 or they want to spend $1,000. If you want to spend $29,000 extra on something you don't need, God bless you, do it. I spend a lot of stuff on, money on stuff I don't need, but at least I know when I'm doing it.
Sure.
And that's the difference. Most people don't know that they're even doing it. Scary.
Having that education. Once again, us being able to provide that education. So the decision can be an educated one.
And that's the thing. I know what I know. It's scary because I know the window industry. I don't know the shoe industry. I don't know clothing industry. I don't know the furniture industry. I don't know the pool industry. Starting to know the solar industry by a couple of inside sales reps that are telling me, and the solar industry is the same as the window industry, except the government is subsidizing salesmen's commission checks. Think about that for all you taxpayers that love to pay taxes and love to give your money, and you think it's great, right? It's great until you realize that when somebody gets a 30% tax credit, everybody paying taxes is paying for that tax credit.
Sure.
And when you're beyond quadrupling, like a little markup your company, you have to make a profit. But do you need to make a $60,000 profit on a job? Do you need to sell a job that's 14 grand and sell it for over 70,000? And the government's paying 30% of that?
It's absurd.
And they just renewed it? It's crazy. But they don't give you anything for window repair. But we think solar's good. It's not saying solar's not good. Solar's good. But it's back to the beginning of the show when you said the 3 magical letters, ROI.
Absolutely.
You're not going to have an ROI if you're overpaying. You will have an ROI. It's just going to be decades longer than it should be.
Sure.
And the decades longer is you paying for the salesman's car, his $2 million house, the owner's houses, the owner's yachts, it just goes on.
You've paid for the next homeowner, and you don't even get to reap the rewards of what you paid for.
It's crazy.
Sometimes with attic insulation.
Actually,
we're talking about solar. It's the first thing I think about.
Yeah,
all the time.
because our company did go through an evolution where we did try to redefine not the industry, but redefine how we were getting into a house.
And maximize too. If
And
you're going to do something,
maximize.
maximize it. So, and that's where I used to love selling attic insulation.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things ever.
Everybody else at our company hated it.
They hated it.
Why?
It was a low ticket item.
So our average contract on a window was over $10,000. Our average ticket item for a attic air seal job,
3 to 6.
Excuse me.
3 to 8, depending on what it was.
3 to 8,000. That's if you're selling eShield and all the radiant barrier and stuff. But if you went from an energy.gov perspective, because there was a time that we went through BPI, Building Performance Institute training for energy auditors, blower door testing, thermal camera readings, which all of that is real. All of that is legit. If you really want to know what's going on with your house, call BPI Energy Auditor. A lot of that is government subsidized through power companies and stuff. That's good. That's where you have somebody come in with scientific equipment to actually evaluate all aspects of your house. And when we first got into this and when I first got trained, I'll never forget, I ran a lead, an appointment, an energy audit with somebody. And the customer's like, well, we want to do it. And the guy was like, he wasn't a salesman. He was an energy auditor, which again is like scientific. So he's in the logical aspect, not the emotional aspect of a sales guy. And he's like, well, I have to go back to my office and price it up. And the salesman side of me is like, just tell them $9,000, they'll buy. Just throw a price out. It doesn't matter what it costs. But he had his wits about him. And energy auditors would put together a portfolio, an investment portfolio, essentially, of work that they don't even do to say this is where you should. But that wasn't a free estimate.
Right.
You had to pay for that. Because again, nothing is free in life. You can be, a free. Why don't you give free estimates? Why? Because we don't have high-pressured sales reps that come out to your house. Why aren't they going to do an energy audit for free? Because it takes 4 hours to do it, to set up the testing the right way, to go through it. And you know what? I'd rather pay for it because now I'm paying for a service, not being sold a product.
Absolutely.
So through that evolution, again, it was all to get us into the house, and we deviated amongst different products and stuff. It was just like sell something to everybody.
And then the next thing you know, you're selling solar, and you don't even know what you just explained.
Right.
But it sounded good. And you put that good spin and that good twist on it, just for somebody to go, oh, wow, or...
And you would think if the government's giving out money, they would regulate that a little bit. Not that I believe in government regulation and stuff like that, but if you're going to regulate where the person, the little people don't get screwed. Don't regulate for the big companies that they're going to make their money no matter what.
Absolutely. And they have.
They
And
have.
a lot of them are out of business right now. And people have this solar system on their house that hasn't made the money.
My mom's one of them. And you're sold a false bill of goods, and they're not evaluating your roof. They're just making a sale, getting it up, throwing it on.
Oh, we'll just take it off if you need to get your roof replaced in the future for $500.
Nobody's
Try
taking
$5
it off
grand,
for five,
6,
yeah,
7, 8,
$500
9.
bucks. They ain't coming to your house for $500.
Oh my gosh.
And then people think car salespeople are the worst.
At least you know you're getting the piece of shit.
Let me tell you, if somebody came to our job and they were looking for an interview and they said they were in car sales, they think they'd know everything. I'm like, you don't know nothing about sales.
Mm-mm.
You have somebody walking into your facility saying they're interested already. What are you selling? You're not selling anybody anything. They're just buying from you. Where we would go into people's houses that have no idea that we're about to be there for 3-4 hours to high pressure sell them, to go into somebody's house that we have no idea, never met before, and they're signing checks for $15, $20, $30, $40, $50,000, $100,000 on windows. That's a salesman.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying it's a good salesman. I'm just saying.
Oh, he's a great salesman.
Buyer beware. It ain't
Wonderful.
the car sales guys you got to worry about. You can leave there.
Sure.
You can't leave your own house when a sales guy's in there.
Because it's another one. And another
Actually,
one.
that's not
Another
true.
one.
Technically, I had somebody before throw their keys at me and say, hey, I got to go. You lock up when you're done. And I was still pitching.
Remember?
It's true.
Remember a guy in Baltimore knocked on his door? Hey, Kevin here to sell you windows. Bleep it, bleep, bleep. I don't have it. But the worst things that you could ever say to a human being. So okay, thank you. Went around, knocked on his back door. Opened, what? I said, sir, there was a really, really mean guy in the front of the house, but it's nice to meet you. I'm Kevin.
Was he a little bit nicer to you then?
He said, come on in, man. I'm sorry. I had a bad day at work. So, once again, that good salesman getting his foot in the door. You don't need to jam it in there. You don't need the door slammed on him. All he's got to do is just have that little connection, that one little bit of connection to where bad investments are made. Or you just doing what you think is good. Let's do what we know is good.
Right. It's all based off FOMO, too. Fear of missing out.
That's so true.
It's just giving a price good for today, and I can make it again. We'll go into this on another episode because that would be funny. Just literally just role play.
I'm gonna give you guys all the little tactics, all the things that you could see, that you could diagnose, that you could go, oh, and then you could use them yourself for good. That's the goal.
And you can also listen for them.
Sure.
And hear them in a sales presentation. Be like, oh, this guy's trying to lock me down. He just asked me a commitment question. He just said, does this sound like the type of company that you're looking to do business with?
Yes.
Why? Well,
You guys have been in business for a long time. They start spitting back.
And you did also
verbatim
tell me when I told you about our insurance that you wouldn't deal with anybody that didn't have insurance below our limit. So I would assume, is it a safe assumption you liked our insurance?
Insurance is fantastic.
And the MHIC number, the license number.
It's a low. No, it's been around. There's no issues with it.
So let me ask you this: if I know price aside, if it comes down to the company, I mean, is it safe to say like you really couldn't find a better company than ours? We'd be the company you'd want to do business with.
I'm sure they're out here there, but you're here. I would like to do business with you. Absolutely.
So price aside, you deal with our company.
Why wouldn't I?
Great. They're committed. Step one.
First
Step
commitment.
one in the box.
Right.
And they go down that, and they go down that, and they go down that. So when you say, oh, well, I got to think about it again, they start pulling the arrows that they gathered, that whole process, and say, well, I know it's not the company because you said, I know it's not the product because you said everything in sales is navigating everything down to price and terms. If you start to feel like you're being cornered in a sales presentation and they start asking you price and terms, can you afford this? Is this comfortable with you? That should throw a red flag up. a good company, just like that energy auditor that I wanted him to sell the insulation. He didn't, because that wasn't his process, and he knew that wasn't right.
Just there to audit.
Just there to audit. Sent the information in, emailed them the report, let them get back to you. Again, we made fun of those people, the order takers. Well, guess what? Fast forward almost 20 years, I'm an order taker.
There's nothing to sell anymore.
There's not. The company, if your company and your product can't sell itself, why look at it? The biggest problem with my business is getting people to know we exist. Getting people to know an option besides replacement exists. You always think that. Just like when you break something, you're like, man, can I get that fixed? Probably not. Blinds. I had a customer. They were like, genius. Their blinds had like a little wheel, and that wheel kept breaking. He went to a high school where he knew a kid. This sounds like a bad setup. It's not. And basically was like, can you 3D print this part for me? And the kid said, yeah. And he printed the 3D part for this guy, and he saved hundreds of dollars from replacing his blinds. I don't know how many blind repair people there are, but you know what? In America, I feel like we're losing trade. I feel like we're losing people's abilities to stand on their own outside of a corporation. I feel like we're losing pride, right? Pride of being able to fix something, pride of being able to save somebody money.
Service.
We
True
used to look
service.
at stereotypes. Maybe it's too early on the first podcast to get into this.
Might want to save the stereotypes for the next one, but let's get an example. Definitely.
The example would be there's preconceived stereotypes of different regions of the world that don't like to replace things. They like to fix them. I'm that person. I don't know if it's like a Syrian Polish thing or what it is. But I know I'm that person.
Sure.
Do unto others as you want done to you. If I can fix something, I want to fix it. Why would I want to replace it? I don't want to throw it away. So all of those customers back in the sales days, everybody would hate those kind of customers that just want to fix things. Meanwhile, those are my best customers because they want my service.
Absolutely.
So all I have to do is present myself. And that's, I guess, what you still have to do in today's economy. It's not browbeat prospects to buy your product, but it's have a product that you're proud of, a service you can stand behind, and feel good about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And then market it to put it in front of the people that need it.
The value is amazing, and it's needed.
It is, and it's needed in so many different industries too. I mean, just like the blinds example, there's somebody I could start a blind repair company right now and go in and fix people's blinds, but everybody's worried about the big ticket items. A blind company that's been in business for 30 years isn't going to just dynamically switch the direction of their company and say, let's start going into the repairs. You know what? I'm tired of selling blinds for $1,000 a blind. I want to sell repairs for $50 a blind.
There you go.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense till it makes sense. Because to make dollars, you got to make sense.
Absolutely.
And you got to start somewhere. So I can make my money off one job, or I can make the same amount of money off 10 jobs. And I think about this from a marketing perspective. Wouldn't I rather the later anyway, because that's 10 or rather 9 more people than the one I sold a huge contract to that I can remarket and resell my products and services, and they're genuinely going to need it. It's like the web, right? You start here and then it doubles and then it doubles and then it doubles. The whole penny, you take a penny and you double a penny every day. At the end of 30 days, you're a millionaire. So forget about pennies. Look at it as customers. If every customer doubled and told somebody else and somebody else word of mouth, well, by the end of it, you should have like 1 million customers.
Absolutely.
But you'd rather just sell the one?
Because never see them
paycheck
again.
and never see them again. And we would say that. We'd say, beat them up as much as you want. You're never going to see these people again. And you know what? It's true. You don't see them again. Not because of callbacks, but because people don't realize how big the world is. The world's huge. America's huge. It's huge. Maryland's huge.
Getting bigger.
Getting bigger.
More
Getting
homes going
bigger.
up.
We're
More
not
things to buy.
We're not in a decreasing population. We're in an increasing population.
Sure.
More maybe than ever. I don't know. I would
Seems
think
that way.
so. It does seem that way.
Traffic gets jammed more and more every day, brother.
Yeah. Traffic jams that used to be 30 minutes take an hour, hour and a half now. And that's true.
It does.
So if you think, you're afraid to go into an industry like that because you're going to lose too much, you're only kidding yourself. My business got easier when I sold a product that was wanted
Sure.
instead of force feeding people stuff that they don't want.
Feels better too.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to end it. I think we can go into a bunch of other stuff, but we can stay here for another hour and talk. But we'll save that for next week.
It's endless in the education that we'll be providing and the tools, giving you guys the arrows out of the quiver, giving you guys all the knowledge that you need to know what to look for when buying anything and being able to get what you want when selling anything.
Play the game back.
Absolutely.
If you know how they're playing the game, you know how to play the game back. When you start hearing them say some of these things, you know when to throw up the flags and you know when it might not be a good decision. Trust your instincts. Listen to yourself. If you have any questions about a home improvement company, reach out to us. Josh@thewindowhospital.com. Unless I get 10,000 inquiries, I'm more than happy to help out anybody the best that I can. Yeah, I think we wrap it up there. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like and subscribe button for more. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Got any thoughts on today's topic? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear what you think. See you in the next video. Keep exploring, keep learning, and always keep growing.